came back the week after, and she said, "Hey, let's do 55," just like that. And end up being a 8K CPO order on that one. So that was really good. And then another one I've been working since the beginning of September. This guy bought business gifts from me. He's a building constructing. It's a building supply company, and he bought like 15 gifts from me back in June, I think. And that was about like 1 or 2K CPO on that one. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll be following up before the end of the year or at the end of the year for Christmas gifts, all that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Just another guy that's saying like, "Yeah, I gotta follow up," but it never does. And then all of a sudden, like this one day, I'm at my parents' house. I get this email: Christmas gifts, Ed Wachtmansky. I need information on this. I'm like, okay, what information do you need, or what time do you want to schedule a call? Blah blah blah. Yeah, let's do it for this. And we're thinking we're gonna budget about $14,000 in just Christmas gifts with Cutco. I'm like, and this is when I was on the phone with Katie. I was like, "Katie, holy shit!" Like, I got this text message. And then Katie was like, "What is it? What is it?" And I said to her, she's like, "Oh my God." So, that next week, I went to their office. I got all their orders and all that, and, figured out what they wanted and all that. And then, I was just waited to put it in for like almost like 2.5 weeks. And then on a random day on Thursday, I remember this like it was yesterday. I was headed to the bank to like do something with just personal reasons. And then all of a sudden I get this call from this 773 number. I guess this is like the accountant for the company. "Hey, Lucky, like, this is Ed's assistant. I'm told that we need to put in like a $23,000 order for gifts." And I told the bank teller like, "Bye-bye. I'm probably gonna come back way later. I have something to take care of." And yeah, first office, his office bought 10 pack of steak knives. And with every office, I gave them a free K-bar knife. Free lockback. They all get a free lockback with their order. So first office bought 10 4-pack of steak knives. Second office bought 25 lockbacks. Third office bought 30 Santoku Classics. Fourth office bought 26 7-inch Santokus. Another office bought 15. Went from being just doing a 14K order, went from having my biggest order of my career in 17K. And yeah, I gifted the guy that set everything up, a 4-pack of steak knives that I had extra. And then, yeah, that was that. And I thought I was done there. But one of my past customers who I met at Oktoberfest 3 years ago bought for me when I was on the way to a wedding this year. She bought like 3 pieces. And then she's like, "Yeah, I need my knives sharpened and all that." And, I went to sharpen her knives. And then before that, I was talking like, "Hey, we have these different programs and all that." That's why you always got to talk about like programs, like talk about like business gift program, talk about realtor program, talk about family program. Told them about the programs like, "Hey, do you know anyone that runs a business?" "Well, my husband's owns a cabinetry company. He's the CEO and president." I'm like, "Oh, really? What does he do for gifts?" He does like bottle of wine, all that. I'm like, "Okay. Have you ever thought about doing Cutco?" He's like, "Yeah, maybe you can, when you're over to sharpen knives, you can show him." And, this was the messed up part was I was going to like the middle of nowhere in Illinois at like 9 p.m. at night. So you already know how scary that is. And I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna take a risk, no risk it, no biscuit." And I went to Martinton, Illinois. It was kind of weird how like where it was at. Like it was kind of the back. And funny part was, there was a raccoon that came out of nowhere, almost ran over. So that was, and then
what Dick would have done with that raccoon. Oh
yeah, probably would cook that shit.
Yeah, right, we'd have been eating, boy.
Yeah. But I came, did the sharpening, talked to the husband. Husband was a good guy, and we hit it off, talking about like gifts and like, "Hey, like, who would these gifts be for? He's gonna say like he was saying it's going to be for like the farmers, like a lot of the farmers like to support their business and all that. So he wants to do something very special for them. And he's like, yeah, how much is it if I did 10 or how much is it if I did 25? I'm like, all right, this is it. This is it for 25 and 10. Oh, that's it? That's not bad. Let me start off with 25. So you never know. The moral story is you never know like what clients you have in your database that are business owners unless you ask and you have a program mindset. And it went from being like, just a 0 CPO order to like a 5K CPO order. And then, I ran my sale as well too. I got a repeat client, ordered 10 more spreaders as well too. So, it's really cool how I had my biggest week ever. And, that's a new normal now. And I have to pass that new normal.
Yeah.
And, why can't I do 50K in a week, not 50K in a month? So, and there's a lot more business owners to be seen and to be had. It's just, you gotta go find those people and you just gotta make them buy into our vision and tell them why Cutco's the best gift to give.
Okay, so I really like the first thing you said was you just were on a demo and you asked, what's your business? Do you give gifts in your business? It's so simple, but how many times have we been at a customer's house and not asked that? And look what it led to. So how great would it be if we asked that on every appointment, every realtor? What does your spouse do? Who do you know that owns a business? We do gifts for all kinds of businesses, not just realtors. So I love that.
And I had another thing is too, like one of my residential clients, she just got into real estate. She was like, hey, Lucky, this is your residential client. I just got my brokerage license with Keller Williams. Like, I heard you do business gifts too. I mean, you do realtor gifts too. I'm sorry. And she said, and I said, yeah, like we do. He's like, oh my God, this is something I want to do in the future. So like already planning on saving everything. And the good thing is she already knows how great this product is. And, it's going to be she's going to get that return on investment. So it's going to be really cool just planting those seeds and, never know when it's going to plant and just grow. So just, planting seeds, really just taking advantage of the opportunity and just really just helping people. Because it's not about us at the end of the day. It's about them. That gift is about them. It's not about us.
I have a couple questions, and then I'm sure Britta and Nick have a couple for you too. The other thing I was going to comment on, you can tell your main focus is to serve the customer because you asked them, what are you guys doing for gifts? And you found out exactly what they're giving. And you were able to say, yeah, I'm sure people like those, but here's some benefits to giving ours over something consumable. So it's like service is like your number one priority and the sale is kind of like the second, which is awesome. My question for you, it seems like a lot of these had like, you had to follow up with the mom and then you had to send something to here and then you had to do this. And those are things that could easily fall through the cracks with everything that you have going on with your schedule. So my question was, how do you stay organized and make sure that you're, do you use a Google Calendar? Does it pop up on you write it down? Like, how do you stay organized with these follow-up steps?
So that's a good question. One, I use Vast Action. Two, when I ask them like, hey, when's a good time to follow up? When do you want to do a follow-up meeting, quote unquote? When I'm there, I put it in my calendar and I make them put it in their calendar too. So we both have it on our schedules.
I love that.
It's easy as that. And also just, taking notes on your customers like, hey, she liked this, she liked that. So you already know when you go back to that conversation and when you have that meeting, you're right where you left off.
I love that. And then I have one more question and then you guys have some questions too? Okay. So
sorry for eating because I'm hungry. So.
Oh, that's cool. So am I. So, when you're doing realtor program and business gifts at a high level like you are, it's not always easy and it can kind of be a roller coaster, right? And sometimes you feel like you're getting beat up a little bit and then sometimes you feel like you're floating. So my question is, how do you what's your mindset around the whole business and like, what do you do to make sure you kind of stay humble when you're having a good week and then what do you do to make sure you kind of get back on track when you're kind of frustrated or someone stood you up a million times or like something like that? Tell me about your mindset.
It's something that I learned recently from listening to a podcast. Because I'm big into sports, and I was listening to it was a podcast that Nick Saban was on with his former players. Mark Ingram, he was Heisman Trophy winner and all that. He plays for the Texans. He has this podcast called Big Trust, and he had his former college coach on. It was Nick Saban, and there was one thing I took away from that message and that podcast that he said, and it's very simple: be where your feet are. Be where your feet are, and that's basically like stay in the moment. Realize where you're at right now. Like right now, I'm on a Zoom meeting with Nick, Britt, and Katie. That's all I can worry about. And also, like, if you want, in sports, like, they have all this anxiety and all that. Like, hey, like, I want to go to NFL. I want to go to NFL draft. I got to get like 30 rushes, like 100 yards, 2 TDs, and all that. But for my business, sometimes I worry about that. I'm really going for a big year this year. I got to sell 90 more K in 3 months. But I can't worry about that. 90K isn't going to happen overnight. You got to be where your feet are. You got to take it day by day, take it hour by hour, take it minute by minute, and worry about like, hey, how can I win this moment? How can I stay in this moment? How can I give the people that I'm in front of this time and this my fullest attention, and know that, hey, if I do the extra things, if I do the little things, I'm gonna get to where I want to be. So really saying that and really
be where your feet are.
Yeah, being where my feet are really like attests to like what's going on and what I'm going after. And like, in a down or good situation, it's like, hey, like you haven't done anything yet. You got to stay in the moment. You got to be where your feet are.
I love that. All right, what questions do you guys have for Lucky? That was an amazing message. I loved it. I wrote that podcast down.
So I got a demo here coming up in like 10 minutes. So I don't really have a question, Lucky. First, I want to thank you for last Tuesday when I called you and you helped me fill out the order form, because that was the first one I filled. I appreciate that. And I just want to say I love how you use the basic thing we learned to better with the realtor of ask the order, how many, and you just built that relationship. That's pretty awesome. And as far as the follow-ups, like from my first meeting, I had like 7 cards that they gave me. It's like, we're not at the financial set to do it right now. I still check up with them. They're in my email contacts. They see what I do personally. And plus the people that's at that place, they're like, oh, Nick's, one of them I know is talking me up for sure. The other one probably is too. And it's just staying with them and staying focused with them as well. So I appreciate your message, Lucky. I think you're amazing. It's the first time I met you. It's not the first time I heard your name. Casey Cooper told me a lot about you. So I'd put you up there with Katie as being a legend and a lot more to learn.
Thanks, man. Not a legend yet, but I'm getting there.
Well, you're a legend to all of us new folk, man.
Appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to help as well, and I'm glad that order turned out pretty well for you.
Yeah, I'm stoked how last week went. So thank you.
Welcome.
All right, Britta, you got anything?
I was just mainly going to ask, I know that you inevitably got the one lead from the demo that you had done and then asking about it. What is the best piece of advice that you found thus far, like when you're doing team meetings, even if you don't make a sale, to get like good quality leads from the agents?
First off, with them, you just ask like, hey, like, I know you don't want to do this right now, but is this something you see yourself doing in the future? And, asking quality questions and having like a great let go and letting them remember you by something that like, hey, I remember that guy, like, and I'm for sure going to do this when the time is right. So, and then like always put a follow-up date, always send Katie like, hey, this person I want in my CRM, this is important, follow up at this date. And then Katie does that for you and the team. And then after that, just ask like, hey, who do you know that's a top real estate agent? Who do you know that's a good appraiser? Who do you know that's a mortgage lender? Who do you know that specializes in refi? Who do you know just as a friend. So like, just keep asking who do you know in those different like